Those two words, judge not, echo everywhere, often used to silence any moral discussion. In conversations about right and wrong, they're quoted as if they end all debate, as if they're a trump card that stops us from ever questioning anyone's choices. It's become a shield, suggesting all actions are equally valid and no one can say otherwise. People use it to avoid uncomfortable truths, to dodge accountability, or to keep peace at any cost, even when something is clearly harmful. But did Jesus really mean for us to ignore right and wrong? Was his message that we should turn a blind eye to injustice or pretend that all choices are equally good? When we pull this verse out of context, we risk creating a faith that's passive in the face of harm. We risk becoming bystanders, unwilling to speak up or act when it matters most. Imagine a world where no one ever made a judgment, a doctor ignoring symptoms, a parent ignoring danger. What would happen if we never called out what's wrong or never encouraged what's right? Judgments, when made rightly, are essential for our well-being. They help us protect, guide, and care for one another. Discernment is not just helpful, it's necessary for a healthy community. Jesus wasn't telling us to throw away discernment, he was teaching us to use it with grace. He wanted us to look at others with compassion, not condemnation, and to recognize our own flaws before pointing out someone else's. The popular watered-down judge not leads to silent, ineffective faith. It can make us hesitant to speak truth even when it's needed most. The path Jesus intended requires wisdom, humility, and love. It's about balancing truth with kindness and courage with empathy. It doesn't ignore sin but confronts it with compassion. True judgment is rooted in a desire to help, not to harm, to restore, not to reject. We're called to see with God's eyes and judge with God's heart. That means seeking understanding, offering forgiveness, and always aiming for restoration. It's a harder path, but it leads to true life and healing. When we judge rightly, we help each other grow and become more like Christ. Let's explore what Jesus really meant, and discover how his words can transform the way we live and love. If Jesus wasn't forbidding all judgment, what was he teaching? Many people misunderstand his words, thinking he meant we should never judge at all. But if we look closer, we see that Jesus was calling us to something deeper and more meaningful. Just a few verses later, he tells us not to cast pearls before pigs, requiring discernment. This means we must be able to recognize what is valuable and who is ready to receive it, showing that judgment, when done rightly, is necessary. Jesus draws a line between two kinds of judgment. He distinguishes between judgment that tears down and judgment that builds up. The first is hypocritical, harsh, and self-righteous, condemned by Jesus. This kind of judgment is quick to criticize others while ignoring our own faults. It's prideful, designed to make us feel superior. When we judge this way, we close our hearts and fail to see others as God sees them. The second is righteous judgment, discernment motivated by love and restoration. This judgment seeks to help, to heal, and to guide others gently back to the right path. Like a loving parent correcting a child, it's done out of care, not superiority. The goal is always growth, not shame. We're called to this kind of judgment, wise, careful, and loving. In our communities, this means listening, understanding, and offering guidance with compassion. Jesus wants us to move beyond surface-level condemnation to thoughtful discernment. He invites us to look deeper, to see the heart, and to respond with empathy. We must distinguish good from evil, but always with humility and grace. Our judgments should reflect God's mercy, not just our opinions. Be wise as serpents, gentle as doves. Let wisdom and kindness guide every word and action. Speak truth, but always in love. Let your words be a source of encouragement and hope. This is the balance Jesus calls us to. Let's strive for it, seeking to judge with both truth and compassion in every situation. Picture two people pausing on the sidewalk, gazing at a neighbor's yard that's become wild and overgrown. The grass is tall, toys are scattered, and the flower beds are choked with weeds. It's easy to notice the mess, but what happens next reveals the true nature of our hearts. The first person, hidden behind the mask of hypocrisy, scoffs and shakes his head. He feels a sense of superiority, thinking, how could anyone let things get this bad? He never stops to consider what burdens the neighbor might be carrying. He simply judges from a distance, content in his own self-righteousness. The second person, however, holds up the mirror of humility. She pauses, her expression softening as she wonders if something deeper is going on. She remembers her own seasons of struggle, times when life felt overwhelming and things slipped through the cracks. Compassion stirs within her, and she feels empathy instead of judgment. Rather than criticizing or gossiping, she chooses to reach out. She offers a helping hand, maybe bringing over some gardening tools or simply asking if everything is okay. Her actions speak of kindness and understanding. The difference between these two is profound. The hypocrite stands above, arms crossed in judgment, while the humble kneels to serve, meeting others where they are. One builds walls, the other builds bridges. The hypocrite is quick to speak, eager to point out flaws and slow to listen. The humble, on the other hand, listens first, seeking to understand before offering words. Humility opens the door to real connection. Jesus cares far more about the heart behind our judgment than the verdict itself. He asks us, are we quick to criticize or quick to encourage? Do we look for faults, or do we look for ways to lift others up? Do we see the person behind the action, the story behind the mess? Jesus invites us to lay down the mask of hypocrisy and pick up the mirror of humility, seeing others through eyes of grace. Before we correct others, let's look honestly at ourselves. This simple shift in perspective reveals the kind of people God calls us to be, people of humility, compassion, and love. Let's choose humility every single day. Humble judgment is a golden thread in Christian history. Early church leaders like John Chrysostom warned against harsh, hypocritical judgment. He urged mercy, reminding us to focus on our own repentance. John Calvin echoed this, insisting church discipline must be gentle and charitable. These voices remind us, true Christian judgment is about guiding others with love, not proving ourselves right. Let their wisdom guide us today. Jesus paints a vivid picture, trying to remove a speck from someone's eye while ignoring the plank in your own. It's absurd, and exactly what we do when we focus on others' faults, not our own. Jesus commands us to look inward first. Self-examination is the prerequisite for helping others. Before criticizing, pray, "Show me my own heart." Admit your own struggles and imperfections. This humility transforms critics into gentle healers. When you see your own flaws, you approach others with empathy, not superiority. Your words become medicine, not stones. Judging rightly begins with confession, not accusation. Jesus taught, "With the measure you use, it will be measured to you. If you judge harshly, expect the same in return. If you show mercy, you'll receive mercy." This doesn't mean ignoring sin, but approaching others with compassion. We're all beggars showing other beggars where to find bread. Before speaking critically, ask, is this the measure I want God to use on me? Let mercy be your standard. Jesus hands us his measuring stick, marked by grace. In the end, judgment is about the heart. Are we proud like the Pharisee, or humble like the tax collector? True Christian judgment flows from gratitude for grace, not moral superiority. Let's be more critical of ourselves than others. See others as God sees them, beloved and redeemed. This perspective fills us with love, not condemnation. The world needs more people with hearts of grace. Call sin what it is, but do so with compassion. The greatest verdict we can deliver is Christ-like grace. That's the kind of judgment that changes the world.